Like I said, Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2 was the fucking peak of these games. After that, it started falling the fuck off. This time around, the Saints were cool. Is a close-knit group of 4 young fans, each with their own expertise of being fans. Planner business mind Ellie, expert driver Nina, DJ and smooth talker Kevin, smooth fan.
With the new Saints Row on the horizon pissing everybody off, I figured why not take a look back at the series. A series that illustrates what it means to take it too far. What once started as a simple ripoff that grew into its own, until it grew uncontrollably into a form so gross that most that flocked to it from the second game might have turned away by the fourth or even the third game. Although the fanbase manages to keep on, a bright fire lit from all one good game ever made. A sort of cautionary tale on what happens when you build up a core audience for something that your heart just never desired, and I suppose the sort of series that gets me talking like a slam poetry night. Saints Row is a series I don't mind. Unlike some, I actually like 2 games out of the 7 going on 8 games made. Saints Row 2 is generally considered the best of the series, and while the third watered it down a bit, it's still a personal favorite of mine. But of course, a good way to tell a story is at the start. Not quite at the beginning of the developer's volition, but where the original Saints Row first haunted Volition's heads. It all started in 2003, under the codename Bling, an FPS with a gang simulator spin. The idea was demonstrated with a trailer which cobbled together clips from various games and movies, overlaid with, and excuse my whiteness for a moment, Fuck Ta Police by NWA. While not very many of Volition's staff were on board with the idea, the CFO of publisher THQ, probably after thinking to himself, damn, this game could really sell with the urban market, decided this is the game the team should work on. While the game started production, much of the staff weren't too thrilled about being associated with a gang simulator. You see, the staff of Volition were very white and very dorky. This game feels very left field when compared to the company's past games, but either way, they pressed on regardless. As it was 2003 at the time, Bling would be developed for the PS2, though later on the game would become an Xbox 360 exclusive, which came with its own troubles. The 360 was still being worked on, so the specs of the console hadn't been finalized yet. Also, 2004 had seen the release of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, whose primary gang sported the color green, so the Saints had to change into purple. And on August 29, 2006, the game now known as Saints Row was finished. It sold over 1 million copies in its launch year of 2006, and was highly praised by just about everyone. So either it's a really quality title, or maybe everyone was just really desperate for GTA 4 at the time and this was all they could get. Though I guess we can't find out unless we play the damn thing. I mean, starting the game and I already feel like I took a wrong turn into Detroit. I mean, come on, man. I pretend to be a cutesy furry who pays Netflix money to watch a wolf almost fuck a rabbit, not sell crack on a street corner. The first thing to do is to make ourselves. As I stated earlier, massive furry. I don't know how to make a human look good at all. Yep. There. Now I look like a member of the urban demographic. Just like one of those rapers I've heard so much about. You know, like 6x9 iron or whatever. Now the first thing the game wants to do is to try and gun down our horde creation. A fair reaction, but one that can't actually work out because we still need to join the Saints. So the leader of the Saints, Julius, saves our ass and decides, you're a gang member now.
And so, it is off to the church to get your shit kicked in.
Of course, here is where you'll learn close combat. Shit you'll forget when you get your first gun. Next on the agenda of urban things to do is to gun down some opposing gang members. Who the piss men are right now doesn't matter. What's more important is that they seem to be holding highly radioactive items. The mission tells us about one of the cool Saints Row exclusive places, Forgive and Forget. Basically a drive-thru that wipes all notoriety clean. However, this is the only time you'll be seeing it, because I'm a boring motherfucker who plays these types of games like a good little boy. Another cool feature is food. You can store up to 4 food items in your pockets for use later on. On the topic of unique things in Saints Row, those last 2 missions were the only ones we're getting for free. Because in order to do missions now, we have to earn respect first. In order to earn respect, we have to play activities. which is a clever little system. See, Saints Row 1 only had about 36 missions total, a very small number compared to the ungodly 100 missions of San Andreas. So in order to keep the game running longer, it makes you play the side stuff. But that's not all, because doing certain side stuff at certain places not only gives you money and respect, but unlocks characters you can call up, more clothing, new vehicles, and other things like that. That creates a cycle, an interest to want to keep playing activities you started, as well as try the ones you've never played before. But there is a problem, a big one, and I'll explain it after we get some sick drip. Holy shit, slow down me, I'm on a fucking roll explaining all these new features. Not only can you make yourself look fucking horrific, but you can also show off your love for Grimace too by purchasing clothes. Seriously, every color in the rainbow besides purple might as well not exist. Buying new colors will count towards the style gauge at the bottom, but buying crew colors will make that funny number a bit bigger. Throw style in the dump too, because if I'm not min-maxing my funny little man's gangsta drip, then, well, I guess I just hate fun. Because you see, the style gauge multiplies the amount of respect you get from activities. You will need as much of that funny number as you can get, because you're gonna start to notice a pattern here. A really cool, epic pattern. Let's just jump into the activities and find out just what this fun and really, really, really epic pattern could be. Snatch, a hoe-stealing diversion for one. In it, you'll steal women from a pimp and take them to your pimp instead. A tried and true game mode that I forgot to write notes down for, and therefore have nothing else to say about it. Another classic of the series, insurance fraud. Fling yourself at cars for money. Though this version is like eating a bread sandwich, since the adrenaline gauge hasn't been invented yet, which allowed the player to soar like an eagle. You're a dodo, a flightless freak left to fail as a species. Hijacking is something that you'll already be doing, but in the activity version you'll be stealing specific cars and taking them back to a spot. Cool activity. Too bad Chop Shop exists in the game and already accomplishes the same exact goal. Mayhem.
My name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do.
Escort is one of my personal favorites, because you get to pull a baby driver to the sounds of sex in the background while avoiding news vans. Every once in a while you'll have to accomplish some sort of goal, which can be problematic sometimes due to the fact that the pleasure meter won't go up until you've accomplished the goal. And you have to accomplish the goal. But of course footage still can, making it incredibly frustrating and time-consuming, especially with the airtime goal. You know, the airtime goal. In a city that's well known for its fucking stunt ramps around every corner right next to the goddamn That's always fun. The drug trafficking activity is alright. I feel like most of the difficulty comes from how bad the driver can be at times. Otherwise, it's nothing much until the final level where it becomes absolutely fucking loony. Like, there's just like shit everywhere and every car's fucking blown up and shit. It's crazy. For the most part, activities at their best are forgettable, and at their worst they're annoying. It's not just because the gameplay loops themselves are a bit one note, it's also just because they're a bit too easy. Just the smallest amount of optimization on your part dumps all of the challenge down the drain, and with a little grinding, the activity mission cycle sort of falls apart, leaving you with too much respect so you can just blow through the entire campaign, and with way too much money, allowing you to buy all the best guns, making the enemies more of a joke than they already are. That is, when you can even buy them, and it's not the dead of night, where you can do robbery missions if you like, but I'm already stacked as it is, so I'd rather be able to spend it all hours of the day, rather than be forced to wait on something that I've got no fucking control over. Saints Row is split into 3 short stories, each containing the fall of one of the gangs running Stillwater. Los Carnales, your standard run-of-the-mill cartel drug sellers, the Westside Rollerz, man, the Fast and Furious jokes write themselves, and the Vice Kings, probably the most memorable arc, and not just because they shoved Ben King in your face in Saints Row 4, but we'll get to that when the time comes. Each gang also comes with a lieutenant to help you along the way. Los Carnales has Dex, Fast and Furious, and the Vice Kings has crowd favorite Johnny Gat. But we'll start from the most forgettable and go up from there. So, without further ado, let's dive right into the Los Carnales in a completely heterosexual manner. I call them the most forgettable because their presence doesn't really affect much. The boss of the gang just kinda loses his shit, calls his wife a bitch once or twice, and then attempts to leave, only to be killed by a mango-flavored Lovecraftian horror. There's also our cardboard friends, Dex and Troy. They definitely exist. Their only memorable points being Dex having ripped the top off of his hat, and Troy's bird nest aesthetic going on up there. Some missions were a bit bitchy though. In terms of notable missions, Los Carnales doesn't have a lot going for it. Homeland Security is just there. It doesn't service the story at all. The beginning just reiterates what we already knew about the two of the bad guys, and that they're the bad boys. Strength in numbers is boring as fuck. Wave defense missions never work well in this game. It's like the game doesn't expect you to get aggressive, leading to a shit ton of time spent standing around with your thumb up your ass. This game's too easy most of the time, just kinda getting in the enemy's face is enough to make them drop. It's not like they can kill you, because their aim is dog shit. So that's about it for the Los Carnales. I know I only brought up 2 missions, but really what else is there to mention? Most missions were just shoot guys in place and drive car. And the story could be summarized as dude starts malding and calling his wife a bitch, he flees once his gang is on its last legs, then dies like a little pussy, leaving the player to insult his wife's shoes, and everyone lived happily forever after. But nobody remembered any of it because it was really fucking boring. Next up is the Westside Rollerz, spelled with a Z because that's cool still. It's got a bit more going on because Lynn, a member of the Saints who suspiciously hasn't appeared in a game since, is working on the inside. She's wearing blue, she's got a cool car, and she's even got a boyfriend. It's just too bad she dies in the trunk of a car. Don't worry, that old Blood Moon here manages to survive. Also, don't worry about missing out on Lynn's character development, because that doesn't exist, actually, thinking about it. She's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man and nothing more. Oh well, at least she didn't get unwrapped like a present.
Tied up pretty as a present. I think it's time to unwrap you.
Ugh. Other than the death, some highlights include Birdnest using his Xbox Live skills with a Z to make other racers kill themselves.
Hey, you're just mad because I'll be able to do something with my fucking guitar in hands that you'll never be able to achieve in your entire life, kid. So yeah, you're gay.
Bootleg Vin Diesel, see I told you these jokes write themselves, blowing shit up with a semi because their damage output is crazy and can destroy anything that comes into contact, being unwrapped like a present, and blowing shit up with a semi again. Bootleg Vin Diesel is the last one left alive, which leads to a god-awful chase on the highway. Once you catch up to the guy, you gotta shoot the cars on the back of the truck until they explode one by one. Not only dealing with that, but also dealing with the damn sharpshooters they hired for this one mission only. Which doesn't sound bad until you realize that accelerate is on A, shoot is on right trigger, and aiming is on the right stick, resulting in the controller becoming an overpriced twister mat. So you think you just gotta speed ahead and damage the front, right? Lucky you, because the cab can't take damage, and you can't shoot the cars because you'll either hit the floor or blow up a car, taking damage that you really can't have in this scenario, lest either the sharpshooters catch up to you, or you slam into the semi, resulting in damage for you and only you. If you're lucky enough to survive the car explosion, but the cab gets too far ahead of you, you're basically fucked. There's no hope. Go fucking become a doctor or something, contribute to society. Because if you don't, you'll steal another one, catch up just in time to rim the circle for a bit, then your car will blow up again. This will go on forever. I'm not fucking joking. The solution? Use the 99.9% of the time worthless recruit button to hire a dude to sit in a passenger seat and fire lemons at the roller. I'm not joking on this one either. This fucking works. I don't know how or if it was just a stroke of luck, but somehow this motherfucker's dinky little Glock was enough to scare the roller shitless. Watch the fuck out, man. This dude's swinging. With that ends the Westside Rollerz, a slightly less forgettable for all the wrong reasons group of clowns from a time when Fast and the Furious was still cool. Right, okay, the last one. What could possibly be the most memorable of the arcs in Saints Row 1? The Vice Kings. Really, there's this cool setup right from the start, see? Johnny Gat's girlfriend is a popular R&B singer signed as Kingdom Come Records, a record company owned by the Vice Kings. So your first move against them is to blow up the record building, but also fake Aisha's death, which then begins to anger this guy, Warren, who, as the story progresses, really just wants to brute force it and gun down the Saints. But Ben King is like, "No, we mustn't, little squire. Now sit your African-American buttocks down before I #1 victory royale your ass." Which eventually snowballs into Warren and a fair portion of the Vice Kings staging a mutiny against King, who has to fight his way out and temporarily join the Saints. Because Julius was once a Vice King too, and Johnny Gat is there too, I guess. I shouldn't shit on him too much. He's the only character that breathes any sort of life into this game. He can be funny, scenes with him are good. He's your sort of go-to charismatic murder machine. Either way, that about sums up the Vice Kings. Julius gets captured, and in order to get him back, we have to sabotage an electoral campaign bus, and then hit the other guy during a funeral procession. There we go, save that for later. Then meet up with another candidate for mayor basically congratulating you for wiping out the competition.
And in these final moments, the player, imbued with the wisdom of God himself, utters one final statement. A statement so powerful it makes philosophers from around the globe fucking cry and piss themselves in shame.
What words could be so utterly powerful, you may ask? Well, I should just let the man speak for himself.
Yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
And that was the original Saints Row. Yes, that shit sold well enough to start a franchise. It's Tofu on a disc. While its new features and ideas are fresh, its style feels muted. Even though the game is extremely detailed, examples being how you can hear voices in houses nearby, the sounds of gunfire echoing outdoors, and just looking at the disheveled state of Stillwater's bottom half. Not to mention each car's unique logo, or how each instance of a new activity has its own reasons for why it's there. While it's fascinating how much was crammed into it, the game almost feels like it's lacking soul. Most characters just say what they have to, they never add any spice. The visuals are the same way. For as much detail as was put in, it feels like the designs were made out of necessity rather than inspiration. The UI is worn down or gold because that's the gangsta look.
Battery depleted. Shutting down. Test machine. Initiating serenade protocol.